Hello, my name is Zara El Guazani Fernandez. I was born in Tanger and I'm half from Spain and half from Morocco. My parents are from Spain and from Morocco, and I currently live in Munich and I'm studying at the LMU Humanities. My experience, it's been quite fine. I've been living here for 6 months and I've met a lot of people, and the culture here is very different from mine, but I've been spending a good time here and meeting very different people from all over the world, and I think it's a very interesting country and that accepts foreigners very good, although it's been sometimes a bit tough to to feel included in some aspects. And I don't remember exactly some important aspects of the sexist in Morocco, but I know that it is a country where women are always under men and they can't do anything without a man's approve. And yeah, I was suspecting when I arrived in Germany that it was going to be a country much more developed. But when I moved to Germany, compared to Morocco, it's a much more developed country, and I was expecting it to be developed in that way as well. But it's true that it's a bit sexist in some aspects. Well, it's true that I've only been living in Germany for half a year, but it's true that just because my aspect and my jihad, or I don't know, my appearance, it's true that sometimes people have been a bit rude to me, and especially the police. Sometimes just they come to me to ask me for my ID, or I don't know, that kind of things, just because I'm wearing a hijab and because they know that I'm not from there. Yeah, in Spain, the feminism topic is a very usual and common one. You can easily hear about it in the media, the television. There are plenty of feminist manifestations in the streets for women. No, in Germany it doesn't happen the same. I haven't seen anything related to feminism in the television yet. I don't know if it's a common topic here, but the time I've been living in Munich, I haven't seen any manifestations for women or anything related to it in the social media. Yes, it's a very safe place because it's very different from Spain and from Morocco, of course. Because I feel like I can walk alone through the streets any hour of the day, and you can't do that in Spain or Morocco if you are especially a woman, because you can be assaulted. For me, feminism means equality, freedom, and it's one of the most important things in our society, as well as sexism and racism, something that should be normal and everyone should have access to that information. Well, thank you for listening to me. It's been a pleasure for me explaining my situation, and I hope that information is valid for you. Bye bye.
Deciding to move to another country is a big decision to make. A career overseas is also a big and important step in a person's life. Working abroad, studying overseas, or just the need to reinvent themselves are some of the many reasons why people decide to relocate. When it comes about your career path, you should as well be ready to encounter some difficulties. So what are the advantages and challenges for Iners experience when trying to integrate themselves into the German society?
My name is Jenny Mestizo and I come from Colombia, Bogota. I came to Germany in 2016 because I wanted to take a little bit of a break from my old job because I wasn't learning that much. It was like not challenging. Friends of mine were doing like this au pair program in Europe, and they told me that Germany was a good destination to travel, and that's why I came to Germany. Yes, I speak German. For me, it's like if you want to learn a new language, you really have to have this motivation to learn the language and also the culture. That's part of it, learning a new language. And I always thought it was enough for me to speak English in Germany because everyone speaks English. But after 2 years, I was like realizing, okay, English is not enough. And if you want to get involved with the culture and the people, you definitely have to learn the language. I did my bachelor in graphic design, and then I worked for 2 different agencies in Colombia for 2 years. Anything that has to do with creating and designing stuff, I just like it and I'm into it. Some challenges, a lot. When I think about challenges, it's like me thinking about all this process that I had the last 5 years with not only learning the language, but also like trying to get involved with the German culture. It's really hard if you want to get into a new circle of friends or something. Also trying to get a new job or trying to get into university. There's a lot of competition here in Germany. In my area, it was like, okay, there's this master, but we only have 20 places. Doing this motivation letter in other language, it was like, I felt frustrated that I was always depending on someone to check if I was doing was good enough. And it always felt like every time I was failing an interview or failing a test or any other thing that I had to do to keep living in Germany, it felt like you're not enough and maybe this is not the direction that you should be. You should do something else. I always had difficulties with my visa. I never had like a visa, actual visa. I had just like a permission to stay in Germany. And with this permission, I was allowed, for example, to learn the language. So these 4 years, I was like trying to get a visa that lets me work. It was like a year trying to find a good place for me that I was happy with. And after a year, I got 2 offers but I offered me an internship, even though I had the experience in Colombia, even though I studied in Colombia. And for me it was like, should I do it or should I not do it? Because I have the experience, I should actually get a job as a designer. But for me it was like more important to have job experience in Germany. That's why I decided to do it, and now I'm still working for the agency, but not anymore as an intern. Now I'm an actual designer. In the agency where I'm working right now, we are a lot of women, and for me it was like really surprising because in Colombia, in my area, graphic designs are mostly for men. And for a copywriter, for art director, senior director, all men. And I was like, in the agency that I was in Colombia, we were like only 3 women or something. And it felt like, yeah, you're just a designer and the men are more creative, or I don't know. It's like I had this pressure that I was not good enough. But here in this agency, I don't know if it's like that in Germany, but in this agency I just feel like I have the same chances that other people have, like equally. And for example, in the team that I'm working with, we are only women, and there are senior designers, there are art directors, and we are all women. And it doesn't matter if you're a designer, it doesn't matter if you're doing an internship, like people are really supportive. And I think it is like that because it's an international agency. So people support each other, people know how hard it is to work in a field that you love, but it's not your language, and you want to express yourself and you want to show how good you are, but there's always this limit with the language. It can be a little bit frustrating and challenging, not only because you have to show your portfolio, but also you have to add this motivation letter that I'm not used to do it because it's not like that from the country where I come from. It can be really challenging. After an interview, then you have to do a design for a project that they have. Doing all these designs in these programs that they're all in German, and I'm used to it either English or Spanish, it was like, okay, here's one more challenge. You just have like 5 hours to do a design for this project, but you have all these programs in German. Sometimes I think, why am I doing this, and why I decided to live so far away from my family and from my friends. But yeah, I will say it's definitely worth it. Even though if you have those hard times and you're feeling homesick, at the end you see, okay, but I learned something new, something that people maybe are not brave enough to try. It's like seeing in my head everything that I have been through and all this process. This is something valuable for me personally, to reach all these goals that I didn't even imagine that I was able to do it. I will recommend any people who ask me if is it worth it to learn another language, if I'm happy to live in another country. You have to go out. You have to at least have this experience of living in any other place where you can meet people, where you can learn a lot about other culture or any other language, because that is really worthwhile for you personally and also professionally. Doesn't matter the challenges that you're having, somehow you get to that goal. At the end, I think you reach way more than you were expecting.